Hey guys, welcome back to Rhema Wealth Strategy. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to drop in a video that I put on my other channel. It did really well, and the reason why I'm doing that is I want you to get some context around strategies that we're going to be talking about for optimizing your cash flow. I talked about the Joseph Storehouse model. We're going to start getting practical around strategies that will help you get rid of the expensive debt that you're carrying and also position your finances and your capital, your own personal capital, in a way that you can access it before retirement and take action now versus when you're 65 or whenever you decide to retire. This is really powerful when it comes to how to position yourself to take advantage of opportunities, to step into a calling that God might have put on your heart, where you can access your own money when you need it, but that you can also help it to grow. So the reason I'm going to drop this video in is because I'm talking about the methodology that I personally used to pay off my house in just over 2 years. You'll get the context in the video, but this pairs very well with what I'll be sharing around the Joseph Storehouse model and how to build your own storehouse and how to be your own source of financing. So rather than recreate the wheel, the video already speaks for itself. I'm going to grab it and drop it in, and I'll see you on the flip side. So I hope you enjoy. Hey, my friends, welcome back. This week we are talking about your mortgage, the thing that just sits there for a long time and it feels like it's never going to go away. I'm super obsessed of any part of financial freedom is paying off debt, because it is so life-changing when you don't have the debt on your back. Last week's episode was about weaning yourself off of credit cards so that you can start creating margin, get yourself off of that cycle of throwing everything on the credit card, because a lot of times it's a slippery slope. Today, and I mentioned in that video that I was going to talk about at some point start talking about alternative methods, non-conventional methods for paying off your debt. And one of those biggest debts that we feel, I think, is always going to be there is our mortgage. And the thing that I want to break the mold with is that you're going to have a mortgage until you retire, or, you're always going to have a mortgage. Our household does not have a mortgage. When I was still a single mom, it took me 7 years. When I first bought this house, I was paying on a mortgage for 7 years, and I didn't even get to 20% of principal paid off. This new method that I learned about and applied to our own situation helps me pay the house off. Obviously, with some discipline and some financial factors, it wasn't, it's not a magic wand, and I explain how it works, but I was able to pay off our house in 2 years and 3 months. The rest of it, the remaining 80%, was done in 2 years and 3 months, versus it took me 7 years because of the way a mortgage works. And I want to explain a little bit of that to take some of the mystery away from what a mortgage is, what an amortization schedule is. And I'm going to introduce this new idea. I'm saying new. It's not new, but it's not well known in the United States. It's a lot more well known in other parts of the world where it's a lot more common. But we're going to talk about a mortgage today, and we're going to talk about a First-Lien HELOC, HELOC, home equity line of credit. Before you turn me off and say, I don't want to get into more debt, debt is bad, let alone debt on your house, a First-Lien position HELOC is replacing a First-Lien position mortgage. So you're not getting into more debt, you're replacing the kind of debt. You're replacing an amortization schedule with a simple interest schedule. And there's a lot to it. I'm not going to dive into all the details behind it, but let's first talk about your mortgage. I want to whet your appetite a little bit with this concept, and I'm going to definitely come back and talk more about it. This is what I will be creating a digital course about, because I want to teach people about this. There's programs that you can get into. Banks, certain banks, very few banks, but there's banks that have programs that help make using a First-Lien position HELOC easier, because there's some extra moving pieces. But when I learned about this, I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to spreadsheets. I was like, I think you can do this on a spreadsheet. So I figured out a way to do it on a spreadsheet, no cost. That's what I will be teaching. But let's just talk about the topic. Without further ado, let's talk about your mortgage first. So a mortgage is oftentimes, especially nowadays, I think a lot of people tend to get into 30-year mortgages. I don't have the stats on it. I probably will go look into that after this. But you can do a 30-year, 15-year, 10-year. You can do different time frames. A lot of people choose a 30-year mortgage because it offers a lower monthly payment, and you can also decide to pay into it more. Let's talk about what an amortization schedule is. That is a hard word to say sometimes. It's a tongue twister. An amortization schedule is a way to spread the costs out over the life of the loan. In order to accomplish, one, the lender, your bank, getting their interest back, and to accomplish, two, you having an equal monthly payment, there's a formula. And the formula is very much like a compound interest formula that you would benefit from if you had investments, where you earn interest every month. That interest adds to the balance. You get paid on that additional interest. So the interest earns interest. Your principal and interest continues to grow. This is on the investment side, and you continue to get paid on more and more. So a mortgage is the exact same thing, but the opposite. Instead of you getting paid more in the stock market, for instance, you're paying the lender a compound interest formula. So what they do, the behind the scenes of the formula, is they calculate what would compound interest be on the amount you're borrowing plus your interest rate over 30 years. There's a formula for that. The bank says, okay, that's going to equal this much at the end of 30 years. You're guaranteeing the bank, you're paying a compound interest to them. They then divide that number into equal monthly increments. That's what an amortization schedule is. It's just a way to help a homeowner have predictable monthly payments. That's kind of the origination of why mortgages were created, was to give the homeowner equal payment options or predictable payment options. The benefit of it to the banks is that they got a crap ton of interest. And when you do the math, if you see what a 30-year amortization schedule looks like, you're almost paying for your house twice. Sometimes you're paying more than that. Sometimes you're paying for two houses. You're buying one for yourself and one for the bank. And it's just math. It's not that it's a stingy method. It's just a method that helps you get equal monthly payments. And by default, there's a lot of interest involved in that because of the way the formula works. I'm definitely at some point going to nerd out with you guys and walk through that with a visual. But for today, I'm just explaining that. An amortization schedule is just a pre-calculated compound interest, the amount you're borrowing plus the interest over the 30 years, all grouped up and then split up into equal monthly payments. That's your mortgage payment. A lot of times banks add in, property taxes and all that too. So sometimes your mortgage payment is a little bit higher, but conceptually, that's what a mortgage is. That's what an amortization schedule is. The difference between that and a HELOC, a first lien position, is when that lender has the first right to take your property if you go in default. A lot of what the United States talks about and banks talk about is more second lien position, the second position lender. That's when you have a mortgage and you take another amount out because you have a little value in your house. You paid your house down, it's worth a little more, so you borrow on that little more, add on a second lien position HELOC, and you're getting into more debt with that approach because you still have your mortgage. In this second lien position, that lender gets paid second, your mortgage lender gets paid first. That's where the terms come into play. The first lien position, this is the difference, is I'm going to make it even. You get a lender that gives you a first lien position HELOC, home equity line of credit, based on the value of your home. And they say they're going to go pay off this mortgage. And now you just have a first lien position loan. This operates a lot like a credit card. It's a simple interest, which means you're only paying interest on the balance that's there. The reason why this is powerful is because if you have a lower balance at any point in the month, your interest calculation decreases. It's not the same interest. It's only based on what's in there. The power of a HELOC is it's open-ended. You can put money in and take it out. Put money in, take it out. So you can put cash flow in there while you're not using it during the month, idle cash or excess cash, you can put it in your HELOC account. It's keeping that interest payment, it's dropping it. So even if you have a 7% interest payment, you could actually reduce the reality of what the interest is calculated by just parking some cash in there that you're not using during the month. Your paycheck, your some savings that you're not using. Put that money to work rather than just sitting it in a place that's not really earning you any interest. You can reduce your interest in a first lien position HELOC. That's the power of it. And then when you go to pay your bills, to go do life, you scoop it back out and pay your bills, do your life. With a mortgage, it's locked. Once it goes on the other side of the wall, once your payment goes on the other side of the wall, the money stays there. So there's not a lot of incentive to put extra in your mortgage than what you can truly afford to put extra. With the HELOC, you flow the money in, flow it in as much and as often as you can, and then you can take it back out when you need to. And the goal is you're still going to aim to leave a little excess or as much excess as possible in there to reduce the long-term balance. So you're temporarily reducing the interest with idle cash flow, money that's not being used right now, and you're permanently reducing the balance with excess cash flow. That's the margin that you're fighting. You're building your budget to create margin, to leave money parked in your HELOC to reduce the balance, because ultimately you want that balance to be zero. And there's a lot of power in a first lien position HELOC for that reason. That is the method that I used to pay off our house. What I did on top of it was when I got tax return back, when I got any bonuses, when I got pay raises, that money stayed, that parked itself in the HELOC permanently, because that was how I was paying down my house faster. That's where the discipline comes in. So the magic behind all this is when you have a strong budget and you're disciplined with your budget. This is why I don't tell you just to go into a HELOC. I tell you, get your budgeting lifestyle down, get your rhythms, get your discipline in place so you have a consistent extra every single month that you're putting in that HELOC. And in the meantime, all the cash flow up here, these are my wiggle fingers. This is daily life. It comes in and out. You need it during the month, but when it's not being used, you hang it out in here, pull it back out when you got to pay your expenses. But all that money is still working for you in the HELOC. So you're rarely, if ever, paying the full face value interest rate on the HELOC. That's how you can beat an amortization schedule with a simple interest formula, even if the interest in the simple interest product is a little bit higher. It is not guaranteed to work for everybody. That's the disclaimer. My other disclaimer is this is not financial advice. I'm telling you what worked for me, living proof that it works really fast if you stay disciplined. But that's the cool thing, is that if you have the right numbers, and I have a calculator I created to evaluate. Let's look at what it would look like for you to do a mortgage and extra payments versus a HELOC and extra payments, while also pushing your cash flow in there. That's the extra power of a HELOC. This takes discipline. I would never tell somebody who's getting into more credit card debt and struggling with credit card consumer debt, with still paying for yesterday's purchases. I would never suggest a HELOC for that type of a person, because they need to work on some behavioral discipline things over here. Get a rhythm, get on a budget for a year where you're learning how to stick to your plan. Then when you really get good at it, you get yourself out of your consumer debt, and you're hanging on to that mortgage, and you're like, man, I'd love to get rid of that. That is where you then shift to true, complete debt elimination. That is when you are completely debt-free, and then you just power into the wealth planning. That's when those options really start to shift. You start to feel the power of opportunity, the power of decision, because you truly are not locked in by your debt in any way. The roof over your head is paid for. You can run outside and you own the grass. That feels really good. When we paid our house off, we took our shoes off and danced in the grass on March 7th, 2022 to be exact. And I want to get you fired up about thinking differently. Let's see, we're at about 13 minutes. I'm not going to nerd out on why this is not widely talked about in the United States. Not because it's a scam, it's just because of how our mortgage products are packaged and resold on the market. It's not always done that way it's not done that way in other countries, where they have the advantage of kind of repackaging and moving those things out and getting more lending power. They want their homeowners to pay down their debt so the banks have more lending power. It's not as simple as it is, but that's just the the gist of it. Australians, I believe, are the highest percentage of two home ownership households. They have not just one house, but two houses. They use this method. Farmers used to use this method. You can totally nerd out. I'm going to give credit to Michael Lush, who taught me with the free videos. I nerded out on this, and I just kind of took it next level, and I created an Excel system to do it myself. They have a program that they do through his organization that provides some conveniences. So there's obviously a convenience fee that comes with that. Pros and cons to both. I can tell you why that would be a good fit, and I can tell you why doing it yourself would be a good fit. Some people are huge do-it-yourselfers. Other people are more like, hey, make it easier for me. So anyway, I want to whet your appetite with this concept that you might be a good fit. And here's how you know if you're a good fit for this. If you generally have a decent amount of income, you're thinking, I don't have an income problem, I have an outgo problem, I just need to reorganize my finances. If you have savings already set aside and they're just sitting there, if you generally live within your means, or stick to your budget, you should be living within your means. That's not a general statement. If you are consistently living under your means, where you have excess every month, you're probably already putting some aside towards your mortgage, extra payments. That is a green flag that you might be a good candidate to look at. Hey, could I pay my house off even faster? A lot of times when you're in that right pocket with a HELOC, you can pay off your home in 7 to 10 years. As I shared, I was able to kill it with my mortgage, replacing it with a HELOC, and get rid of it in 2 years and 3 months. 80% of what the balance was what I paid off. It took me 7 years with a standard mortgage, traditional amortization schedule, 2 years and 3 months changing the approach and paying extra in. Obviously, that would have also accelerated the mortgage a little, but the power of what I did with the cash flow and the HELOC is what totally fast-tracked that. You can accelerate at the speed of your determination, you'll hear me say. If you're fired up to do this and you're willing to kind of just buckle down a little bit hey, I looked at the numbers, I was like, yeah, for 2 years, I'm willing to put in this work. I'm willing to be disciplined. We still went on vacations. We still did Christmas and birthdays. We still lived life. We didn't go on extravagant vacations. We didn't spend 10 grand on a cruise, but we went to go see the family. We did, more conservative vacations, but we still spent money on vacations and lived life. We weren't cutting out all quality of life during that time. We just had a plan to kill the mortgage, to ditch the debt. And I want to share that with you. So if you're curious about that, like I said, I'm going to be putting out a digital course, but I work one-on-one with clients specifically who want to be coached through that, or at least assess, hey, am I a good candidate? That's what I can do as a snapshot. Say, yeah, you look like you're a really good candidate. Or I would say, no, I will tell you the truth, because I don't want to walk you into a situation that you'll regret. I don't want to put you in a place of danger. I don't want to put you and I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a coach who can coach you how to create margin in your budget and show you what you can do with that margin, which is pay off your house. Then imagine the sky's the limit when it comes to your retirement, to being generous, to going above and beyond your means that you had available before, and it happens fast. So that's my rant. I just want to get you excited about opportunities and possibilities. Let's break the mold. Let's break the myths that you have to be in debt forever, because you don't. And it feels really good when you're not. Again, I'm just using my life as a billboard of what's possible to inspire you. The second I got out of debt, I bought my time back. I cut out Fridays from my work schedule. I took a pay cut because I could afford to. It's not always about growing your income. It's about growing the quality of life too. It's not always a direction of growing your income. It's about what can you exchange for what matters more. The other thing I did 2 years after that was quit my corporate job. I loved what I did in corporate, but this gives me the opportunity to coach at the individual level to help see individuals become financially free. And that is my passion. If you can't tell, I get fired up with this, and I'm not even super caffeinated right now. So this is just pure joy for what I do. And I want to come alongside you and help you with that. If you would trust me with that, I would be more than happy to talk with you. So always you can email me, Leah moneywisemom.com. You can contact me on my contact page, but this is just for you. If you have questions, you can email me and I can share more about some concepts. I'm going to keep sharing more on the YouTube videos, but there's your teaser. Hope it got your wheels turning. You might have to play this back again, but there will be more. I promise you that. It is not always easy, but it's always worth it. Get out there, slay your finances, and live the life that you dreamed of. Until next time, have a great rest of your week, rest of your weekend, wherever you're at when you're watching this. Bye for now. All right, how was that? Did that blow your mind a little bit? It might have caused you to think a little bit differently about some things that you might have thought you didn't have any options with when it comes to paying off your home. It definitely, for me, took a paradigm shift, but I'm living proof. It works. It's a powerful method. As you heard me share, it's not for everybody, so chew on it for a little. I'll be putting more content out around this that gets into the details at a more granular level, but conceptually, I want you to have that in the back of your mind because I'll be talking about it again. So thank you for being here today. I always love sharing new ideas with you to help you take control of your finances. That's what this is all about, so that you can do more of what matters most and pursue the God-given calling on your life. Thanks for being with me this week, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.